Welcome everybody to another episode of the Weed News. I am your host, Mike Cannon. Apologies in advance for my There's Something About Mary jizz hair, and also this Midwestern mom's fucking sweatshirt I'm wearing, a white sweatshirt. I don't know, I couldn't pass it up. It was $10 at Against All Odds in the Palisades Center, and I'm pretty sure all of these symbols mean purchasing weed, right? We got the guy blowing out smoke, we got nuggets, we got cash, we got rockets who are high, and then we have the devil wearing sunglasses, which we all know sunglasses while you're high makes you invisible to the outside world. All right, let's get started. In our first story, New Jersey's own professional eating champion Chris Christie has come out and said, which when translated means, when I'm president, I will crack down on and not permit legal marijuana. Christie went on to say that marijuana is a gateway drug, which he learned from a Saved by the Bell episode, and that our country has an enormous addiction and self-control problem. The weird thing about that part of the interview was that he grabbed his belly to illustrate his point. Our country has an enormous self-control and addiction problem, right? Like all of the apparently airplane neck pillows that I wear 100% of the time. But seriously, Chris Christie lecturing people about addiction and lack of self-control is like Chris Christie lecturing people about addiction and lack of self-control. He has to be just trolling, right? It seems like politicians now are just fanning the flames of the ignorant just to get some attention. They're no different from ESPN's Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, just throwing out polarizing information so they can garner support from as many wall-eyed idiots as possible. What Christie doesn't realize is that if marijuana is completely eradicated, all of the tasty treats that have turned his blood into molasses will no longer be around. Without marijuana guiding our unreasonable hunger towards the GMO-filled, tasty, salty, sweet treats that we've all grown to love, some more than other, this country will turn into downtown Brooklyn, just kale chips and organic tofu come. And now for our next segment, joint ventures. I'm gonna be discussing the ever-famous blunt rides. This is not something you could typically do in a city. It's a little busy, and you also don't want to be driving around with slower reaction time and 7,000 people of all different shapes and colors running around. It's like a real-life Pac-Man game, except everybody has a chance to legitimately die. I only mention the colors not because I'm a goddamn racist, but because some things can be jarring to your senses, while I can come out kind of vibrantly. You never know when some orange Oompa Loompa Italian chick is gonna ride out into the middle of the street, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck is even that hat? And by the end, she's just a grease slick on the road. So I would only recommend the blunt ride in a suburban environment. My friends and I used to call it the Buddha Trails. We had a select area of our town that we would drive through, and you really get to know everything about your town. You get to know where certain people live, where certain people will call the cops, those type of things. Pro number 2, you have uninhibited talks with your friends about philosophy. I personally come from a sports culture, so me and my friends, all we would talk about was stats and show each other what different shapes we could make our nuts. My buddy huge bag of clams he had underneath that little dainty penis. Should probably bleep out his name, but holy shit, that kid could shape up his nuts like they were silly putty. I've never seen anything like it. He somehow made them into pyramids. Blunt rides are also a way to figure out which of your friends roll the best blunt and then insist on them rolling it each and every time until they eventually resent you for it. Same guy, actually, weirdly enough, who could make the shapes with his nuts, turned into being quite the blunt roller. Now he's out of the game because he has a wife that hates him, and now I've taken over the mantle. Is that the word? I don't know. Whatever Muhammad Ali takes and shakes all the way to light the Olympic flame. That thing. And the biggest perk, I would say, about blunt rides with your friends is that you forget everything that you discussed and learned about your neighborhood so you can continue to do it over and over and over again. It's just a time of camaraderie, a time where you can get together and really put other people's lives at risk while enjoying a heightened state of consciousness. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching another episode of the Weed News. Remember, subscribe here, subscribe below. We're hurting. We could use your goddamn help. Follow me on Twitter at @IamMikeCannon. Listen to my podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. You guys know the drill. Corruption, conspiracy, consciousness expansion, all that jazz. And go to standupnylabs.com to check out all of their podcasts and brand new videos. They're coming out with a lot of hotness, so check that out. And smoke if you got 'em. I wish my dick could turn into a bong right there, but we're on short notice, so I totally understand if it's just me playing nothing.